So it is 10 o'clock. Let's call the meeting to order. And it looks like we have all 6 board members in attendance, as well as our guest, Michelle. And welcome to the March meeting, A Taste of Spring Outside.
So Susan, even though Sarah feels more than a guest, she is technically, Sarah Berry is a guest today.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, just to clarify.
Yep. And let's see, we have no public, so the invitation is open, but there's nobody here. So we're going down to item 4, the minutes of the February meeting, and seeing if anybody has any comments, questions, corrections. Yes, Janine.
We're very busy last month. I was impressed with how much was done at that meeting, so kudos.
Yes, a lot. I have one correction on Roman numeral 5, item D. Cinnamon Park, it has 2 buildings, and a 3rd pilot will be, the only thing is it's not will be opening, but it has 2 buildings, and a 3rd will be added. So that's the only thing I noted. Have any motions to accept the minutes with the correction?
Accept.
Sheila, seconded by Art. Okay. Old business.
I have a question.
Yeah, Prudence.
So where are the historical agenda minutes and kept?
So when you make the correction to that, Prudence, and you send me the final minutes, I will send them to the city clerk's office and to Robin, and they get added up, they get uploaded onto the city sites.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah. Okay, so we're on to the health and wellness update from Michelle.
It looks like Sarah has her hand up there.
Oh, sorry, you see Sarah.
Just a comment and a question. I still have hard copies of most, if not all, of the minutes that I took, and I will bring those to Michelle's office whenever possible. But I just wanted to know if they may be of no value, but just in case.
That'd be great, Sarah. Yeah, just let's make that arrangement.
Actually, I will turn in that white notebook that I got when I first joined the board.
Oh, the go to sleep reading?
Yeah,
hey.
who knows what goodies might be in there? I will edit it before I bring it in.
So am I up then, Susan?
Yes, you're up, Michelle.
So apologize in advance. I do have my personal cell phone on. My house phone is not working, and my mother, as many of you know, lives with me. And when my house phone doesn't work, then her life alert doesn't work. So the technician should be at my house right now, and I gave him permission to call me if something went awry. So I apologize in advance for that if there is an interruption. So the health and wellness scope of services, I actually had an opportunity. I called and spoke with Renita, the former Longmont United Hospital staffer who was housed here at the senior center. Had a really good meeting with her about just kind of dream a little bit. What would that arrangement you know, in an ideal world look like? So that was very helpful. Got some really good ideas. Asked her about the realities of finding that perfect candidate. So that was also helpful, and to think about some possibilities. For example, do we do the foot care clinic? We articulate more clearly that they don't have to operate the foot care clinic, but they would manage a provider coming in to do the foot care. So it was helpful to think about how we word that language. So that was helpful. And then this afternoon, I'm actually meeting with the person from Longmont United Hospital who they have assigned to work with us. And so I haven't moved any more forward on formalizing that scope of services, but I'm kind of gathering information, as it were. And so I'll meet with Kelly this afternoon, and then hopefully in April have something more concrete or a more finished product for us to look at. So that's my update. Not very long or lengthy, but moving progress slowly. I apologize for that.
Hey, at least we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
And then 2021 goals at
Yeah,
the bottom.
If you look at the bottom of your agenda, there are two sections. One is sort of your ongoing tasks and commitments, and then 2021 goals, and then the safety articles for the newsletter. So I did not take the opportunity to match this up with the conversation from our February meeting, but I want to make sure you all have a chance to look through this list. And then if we have any additions or corrections or deletions or whatnot. So the ongoing tasks and commitments was to continue the information in the Go on safety. I kept in to make the follow-up calls to the Get Acquainted participants. We have totally lost track of that this last year through COVID, but we are holding Get Acquainteds. Not a lot of people, but we do have new folks inquiring. I actually got a call from a woman who's moving here from out of state, and she wanted someone to chat with about the programs we would offer, you know, pre-COVID and post-COVID. So we are getting back on track with the Get Acquainted. So I left that in there for some conversation today. Possibly consider an open house. I have no idea what that might look like, but maybe that's a 2021, maybe it's an early 2022. And then of course the annual report. Then one of from the conversation last month, we talked about using the Go for education. We talked about transportation. This was a leftover, monitoring ride-free Longmont, which will probably circle back at some point. Have the senior center be a source for people getting vaccine. Fully participate in the Age Well process as we kick that back into gear. We still have the ordinance change left over from 2019 to make happen. We talked about increasing our membership to 9. Right now, just a reminder, we need to increase to 7 or 8 with an alternate, and we're shooting for June for that. Participate in community engagement for the public safety chief, which I think you all have been doing. Assist with the reopening of the senior center and preparing for my retirement. So any corrections, deletions, additions, edits that you want to make to either of those ongoing tasks or 2021 goals?
Janine.
I have a question, Michelle, about when the senior center reopens. In this current environment, will we be requiring any COVID testing for participation at the senior center?
No, and it is my understanding we cannot.
Prudence.
I'm wondering, as we move through the levels, whether we could try at the senior center a small test of change. So, for example, having 6 groups of 4 people. I mean, yeah, I'm just making up numbers basically. So that would be 24 people, let's say. And to do something in the building, you know, whatever that activity is.
Right.
And if you could, I was thinking that you could test your COVID precautions in cleaning, people masking, and things like that. So it's just a small test to see whether, because we're going to be at level blue soon,
Right.
whether we can start that process.
So the staff, we had a staff meeting a couple weeks ago, 2 staff meetings ago, where they spent quite a bit of time, the team did, about reopening. And some of the things that need to happen before we reopen and then as we reopen. We have a test case kind of going on right now. And I will talk a little bit more about that in my report relative to our tax aid assistance program that's happening. And then one of the other things that we talked about as a team is actually going and visiting the rec center because they've been open and just sort of get a feel for what that flow is like. Right. We know we need to bring our custodians back because they're off in other buildings. So initially what we talked about was maybe being open from 9 to 1 or 10 to 2 or limiting some of that so we have ample opportunity to clean in the morning and clean in the afternoon, as well as just figuring out how we're going to monitor which doors people come in and the traffic flow. So the staff are working on that. Our hope, and it's not public, we're hoping to open in May. That's kind of where we're headed, but it will be a limited opening for sure.
Can that go in the minutes?
Yes. Okay.
The minutes don't become public for another month.
It's okay. We've got to start moving that direction. Right. And Meals on Wheels will not be offering on-site lunches until the fall. So we're just want to make sure we're in step with them in our publicity and our public information about our opening. They are still delivering almost 500 meals a day. So,
Michelle, just a comment. For the longest time, I guess 2 or 3 months after the initial, we're shutting everything down. When the rec center did reopen, I signed up. So I am attending once a week at the rec center and once a week at the memorial building. And they seem to have everything under control with how they handle people coming and going. So been pretty impressed with them.
Right. And I think that's why our staff talked about going and doing some shadowing around how that's occurring, because that's what we've heard, Susan, is that that's working pretty well.
Really well.
Yep. So any changes to either the ongoing tasks and commitments or the goal list?
I think it's a pretty good place to start. Remind you, if you have somebody you want me to call and on the Get Acquainted program, glad to do that.
Okay, so Brandy will have that list, Susan, and I will get that to you.
The only other thing is, I don't know if we can find this out, but it might be good if we could make a note, like it's better to call at supper time or in the morning to touch base, because sometimes, they don't know your number, who's calling, and they're hesitant to pick it up, and I understand that.
Great idea. We can certainly ask that as we're telling, and talking with folks. Great idea. I think the next item is ours, mine to lead anyways. So for the annual report back to council, I have 2 date options. April 27th or May 11th. Preference on the members of the board. And so I'm fairly confident the April meeting will still be virtual. I don't know, Marcia, if you have a different thought about that.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I am pretty sure that we will stay virtual until everyone is vaccinated, and Brian and Aaron are both in the general public tier, so they may not be vaccinated until fall.
Okay, so so our two dates for regular meeting would be April 27th or May 11th, and it would be virtual. And generally, we would hope everyone would be in attendance, and then the presentation would be mostly Susan, and I would be her backup. Anybody have a date preference? May is Older Americans Month, which is why I selected April 27th. It could kind of be in preparation to possibly opening, in preparation to possibly Older Americans Month, or May 11th would be kind of in the middle of the month. So thoughts?
So this would be the Tuesday, 7 o'clock council meeting?
Correct. Oh, looks like Marcia has a recommendation for us. Yeah.
Oh, not a serious recommendation about timing. I just had a thought that if you're doing it on the 27th, that would be a good time to introduce a mayoral proclamation for Older Americans Month.
Okay. Do folks want to proceed with that? It's been a couple of years since we did a proclamation for May as Older Americans Month, but we could certainly tie that in with the annual report. So you want a show of hands of folks who support April 27th and a proclamation? Okay. Sounds good. And Susan, you and I will get to work on that, okay?
All right.
All right.
Do I still have to come untie you from your office?
If you can get through the paper and find me, you betcha.
Okay. So any other old business? Looks like we're moving to new business then.
So Julie, I cannot remember if you were at the meeting where the board discussed the Reframing Aging presentation last year. Carrie Middleton works for Boulder County Area Agency on Aging. She did conduct a kind of presentation / training with the Aging Advisory Council. Sarah was a part of that on reframing aging. And she has offered to come and do that presentation for all of the local senior advisory boards. Has an opportunity, I think, to really think about ageism, thinking about advocacy. And we have talked certainly in this board about customer service and older customers. We've certainly discovered ageism through this COVID crisis. I will tell you, yesterday, my mother got a letter from Xfinity asking her to, telling her that her bill was now all paperless. And if she wanted a paper bill, she needed to go online, create a portal, go into settings, and change it to a paper bill. So knowing what I know, I asked my retired sibling to please call Xfinity and take care of that for my mom. A good 45 minutes to an hour later, several hangups, blah, 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 blah. She finally got it corrected to my mom's wishes. And she told the person, how can you make this not provide a phone number and make it a requirement that you have to go online to take care of this business, and not even give people upfront an opportunity to do anything different? So for me, part of the Reframing Aging is also about confronting some of these systems that do not work for all people. And so I'm interested, Sarah, I don't know if you want to give a plug or not for Carrie's program, but it is an opportunity for us as a board, for you all as a board to talk about reframing aging.
I would just say that I found it valuable primarily because it helped me, it changed my frame of mind about what ageism means. And reframing aging helped me to understand that how you talk about being an old person or becoming old or about other people who are old, really it internalizes your thoughts about things like you were just talking about. I mean, how do we make sure that everyone, including aging and aged persons, can fully participate in our society? And so it wasn't just, at first I thought it was just going to be sort of a, interesting but not crucial discussion about attitudes. But it turned out to be very valuable in talking about how your attitudes influences public policy and how you treat your fellow citizens. I mean, that's my plug.
Okay. So thoughts about inviting Carrie to a meeting to do it would take up probably a good hour, hour and a half of your meeting.
Michelle, which agency is she from?
Boulder County Area Agency on Aging.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought.
Sometimes called the AAA, but then people get it confused with the car. With the car people. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Janine?
I've just received notice that I am now on that board. I have not done orientation yet, which will be next month, I think. But if people are interested, I will also report on what I hear and what the Aging Advisory Council is doing.
So I just need a thought about whether you want Janine or I to contact Carrie and set this up for a later meeting or no. So Julie?
I think that would be great.
Yeah.
Yes. 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 Okay, great. So Janine, you and I can talk. We'll be seeing each other and we can help make that happen. So great. The next two items were, bad on my part. I did not have this as part of the January or February meetings, I guess. I went back and looked. So I do need a motion and a vote for, do you want to continue to meet on the first Wednesday from 10 to noon? And then the second, item C, is that you want to regularly post your meeting information here at the Civic Center, at the Rec Center, and on the city website. So those are two things that you can certainly change your meeting time and date, but we do need to make that official action.
I make a motion that we keep the date and time for our meeting on Wednesdays at 10 o'clock.
First Wednesday.
Yes. Second? Yeah. Sheila.
Then you need to do an all in favor, Susan.
All in favor?
Okay.
That's all in favor.
Okay.
And the second item, should we maintain the regular posting places that we have? I motion that we continue those places. Second. Prudence, thank you. All in favor? All in favor, great.
Thank you. My order of business, I missed getting that on the agenda and I apologize for that.
And we are going to the electronic participation policy. That was fun reading.
So I'm sure Marcia has been through this, and probably Nicole with other boards. You all have been asked to review this electronic participation policy. This is applying to all City of Longmont boards and commissions. And it really is something that you all, again, read through it and then need to make a motion and vote accordingly. Questions, comments, thoughts, motion?
Motion.
It's my call. I'll be right back.
Okay, Prudence motions that we accept, that we understand and will abide by the policy.
I'll second it.
Art seconds. That's usually included in our orientation notebook package, whatever, so.
All in favor?
Oh, yes, all in favor? All in favor. Good work. So, any other new business, concerns, questions? Then we move on to the City Council report. You're muted. There you go.
You know, my space bar is finicky, and sometimes it refuses to unmute me, so I have to go mouse around.
Okay.
Any longer. we passed it, Michelle.
Oh, thank you. And I have phone service again, so Life Alert works again. So
yay.
Okay. So City Council report, we had an interesting study session last night with two controversial topics on it. One, both a little, the more controversial is a little bit removed from the concerns of older adults, which was a report on what kind of results we are getting from our school resource officer program, and what the school resource officers do. It was very interesting, but again, kind of far removed from our concerns, unless we've got lots of grandchildren around us. So if anybody's interested in hearing more about that, I'd be happy to talk about it. The other one was, which had got a lot less face time, was the smart meter project. And there, I think it's probably time to start considering the equity issues around older adults as that rolls out. Because first of all, there are a lot of older adults that aren't going to understand what it is. And there are groups that are very passionate about not introducing any more electronic communication into our city. You know, I was a signal processing engineer for quite a while, and don't think those objections are physically of concern, but a lot of people think they are and are very passionate about it. And that means that, you know, like other issues, like, you know, this party or that party is going to kill Social Security, that older adults can be targeted with fear and uncertainty campaigns about it. And so there's probably a an information thing. You know, this is not something you should be scared of, or you have the right to opt out of this program if you are a homeowner or a renter with the landlord's permission. And, you know, there are other things. There are opportunities that come with participation in the program, but for the first several years, there are going to be opportunities that you need to be kind of a geeky person to take advantage of. And so, you know, there's a problem of understanding. Those programs will never be mandatory, but there will be financial benefits in participating if you are able to. And I'm not offering solutions at this point. I am just saying that the board that focuses on services to older adults needs to figure out how to position and message around that, and whether help needs to be offered. Many of us, especially the older adults, are living in multifamily dwellings of one form or another, and won't have individual choices about the program, although we hope that their landlords will make good choices and they will benefit financially from it at second hand. But this is really more of a warning that we'll need to talk about that. And as long as I'm on council, which may be, you know, 9 months, or it may be 4 years and 9 months, and I have no idea. But it's something to be aware of, and I can answer questions about that.
Prudence?
So I guess I'm so used to smart meters that I've never even thought about it, because it's
good for you.
Yeah, I mean, you just have it. I know when I lived in my other house on 4th Avenue, I wanted them to put one in, and they wanted to charge me. I said, oh, no, you're not charging me for that. And I think he was a little surprised by the pushback.
Well, you know, a smart meter system is a network, and Longmont doesn't have one.
Right.
Yeah, so, you know, we will in 18 months to 2 years, I hope, although, you know, utilities are always trying to bake in slack in their schedules.
Right.
So it sounds like you know about this because you know, you said, yeah, utilities always bake in slack, and you said, yeah, like that's par for the course.
I had a smart meter in California for probably 15 years.
Yes, it's not exactly a new scary thing.
More accurate in terms of your bill payment.
Yes.
Than someone walking around at their, you know, just walking around testing things and then having people come onto your property. Yeah. That to me was more uncomfortable. And there was pushback by folks about smart meters. And what they did, they just penalized them. And let me tell you, that quickly changed their minds.
Right. Well, we discussed it. I'm glad you're an acceptor.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, I have ego in this game because I used to, you know, did quite a lot of work on it. But yeah, it's a benefit for most people, starting with they don't have people stomping around on their property. Right. And you know, you can use it as a tool to save money almost from the beginning, you know, if you're smart enough to, you know, keep your thermostat high while you're off at work, and then program it to turn on at 4 o'clock to cool your house down only at the last minute. You know, there are lots of things that you can do, or you can just ignore it and probably you'll pay your same bill as you always did. But there will be benefits as we go along, and So we would like to encourage people to be able to benefit from it. And it'll probably take a number of years. And Prudence, I don't know how long you've been here, but you know, this 5 years, the state of the art in California was probably that they probably did have these programs that, you know, you could to, but they didn't have the programs that, you know, you told them what your limits were in terms of how hot your house could get.
Exactly.
And it was all automated for you. You know, that's the real goal. And then you'll get the economic benefits of it, the planetary benefits of it. And you won't have to do anything you haven't always done. So, you know, but it'll take us a while to get there. Yes, Sheila. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not my job.
That's fine.
Sheila.
I wanted to ask you, Marcia, and you, Prudence, since you've got experience of this, what is the pushback from people, particularly older people, about this? Is it simply something new and we don't understand it, or is there a reason?
The pushback in California, which are the same people who don't believe in vaccines, who believe, you know, there's just a sliver of people who have very good internet skills, who can look for things that anything new is negative. I don't think you have to take advantage of all the, you know, technology. You know, you may not want to take advantage of that.
You can just leave it as things as they are.
Just leave it, because then, you know, I can tell you, having people on your property, to me, was worse than having a smart meter that was hooked up to the water and everything else, and no one was on the property. So, because to me, that's more of a danger for older adults who, anybody can buy a yellow striped jacket at Home Depot. Anyone can flash their credit card and say, I'm from the city. Where that to me is much more uncomfortable. And if you have any sort of animals like dogs, and I had dogs, they were like, oh no, the dogs have to go in the house. And if I was at work, I mean, it was like a mess. So as soon as it came in, it was like, go for it. And it was mandatory. They did not fool around. They, you know, for the people who objected, they said it's going in like, let's say July 1st, and you're going to be, your kilowatts per hour are going to be double the rate. But I found that there was tremendous savings for me. And we only had an 1,800 square foot home, or maybe 1,500, in terms of my bill. And that was before what Marcia was talking about monitoring it. But I have a smart thermostat anyhow.
Yeah, that's a very good summary. I would add that in the sliver, there are people that believe, for example, that radio emissions are going to give us all brain cancer. You know.
Janine?
Yeah.
I've heard one, more than one, but a couple of concerns that perhaps education will take care of, in that some older adults fear that there will be a certain temperature that they're dictated to keep their house at. And I know that's not true, but that's one of the educational pushes, that this isn't something that we're going to control how warm your house can be, because as we get older, we often get colder, and that's a concern. That's part of what one of the concerns might be.
And that's a good and it'll actually be it'll be years of education, which may not have me around to, you know, to facilitate. But the way they really work when you have an automated smart system with programmable communicating thermostats is that a person who wants to allow the utility to control their thermostat may give permission. And at the same time as they give permission, they fill out a questionnaire that says, how hot am I, what's my maximum temperature? What's my minimum temperature, both for daytime and for night, and then the other thing is you will still be able to control the thermostat yourself, and you can either control your thermostat like you always have, or you can control it from your phone. And if you want to change your thermostat's instructions, then the city will stay out of it for some interval, like 4 hours, and then you would have to override again. So you're really not giving up any control at all, but you are allowing the city to save you money and allowing the city to reduce our carbon footprint both at the same time. So those are the benefits. And yeah, this has been going on for 15 years. And so the industry has learned a lot about how to tread lightly on people's lifestyle.
When are they looking at getting started with this, Marcia?
Well, they are sending out the initial requests for participation for participants to qualify themselves this month. Then there'll be a period of 2 to 6 weeks, depending on how many responses they get and how good the responses are, where they select who is invited to go on to the next phase and submit a full proposal. In roughly 6 months or less, then they'll begin actively working with this chosen vendor and start planning the first phase of the rollout, which will be probably 500, on the order of 500 meters, strategically placed so that we can learn as much as possible about any tweaks that need to be made to the program before they do the full rollout. And the goal is to be completely done by the end of 2022.
Okay. Now, will there be, did I understand that there will be an added expense with your billing after that point or no?
No. This is one of the few concrete accomplishments that I feel like I can point to on City Council. They raised the rates 2 years ago to begin paying for upgrades to the distribution system, which include, fixing the stuff that's already there to be strong enough to account for the electrification process that's going to happen over the next 10 years, and also pay for the smart metering system. And at that time, the estimation of the cost of the spread out cost of the meter to a householder would have been $9 a month in their rate. And having experience with rate designs, I was able to talk the utility into re-swizzling the rates, because our industries are going to benefit from this, even though the cost of the meter is nothing to them, or they already have a commercial smart meter. And so the rate impact of this for you know, people with 1,500 square feet or 1,800 square feet and you know, using less than a certain threshold of kilowatt hours every month is $2 or $3 a month. And the burden is on industry and on people with gigantic houses. So I feel like the rate increase, so the direct answer is your meter's already paid for. You're not going to be charged for it again. There's going to be a rate design from the utilities that will not affect people who go with the program at all.
Right.
But they will charge people who have to have their meters manually read because they opted out. They'll charge them the cost of the meter reader, and we don't know how much that's going to be yet because we don't know what the opt-out rate is going to be.
So are they looking, when you talk about the vendors, just going back to the beginning of what you were saying, so they're putting out an RFP?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
So what did you do when you worked, Prudence?
I still work.
Oh, okay.
I happen to be a nurse.
Ah, okay. Well, you seem to know a lot about, you know, major technology deployment rollout processes, and so I wondered.
Well, it's because you kind of keep up with the times.
Some of us do.
You have a problem. I have a question. Does the city of Boulder have smart meters?
Yes.
Okay. And did they receive pushback also? And how did they educate them? They probably got pushback from, you know, that's
the same people. I don't know.
Because there could be some learning there as to how to approach older adults, as Janine suggested.
That's an excellent idea, and I will reach out to one of my counterparts on the Boulder City Council. And Susan, or I'm sorry, Prudence, if you would put that in the minutes as a reminder to me that Marcia took the action item of reaching out and finding out what Boulder's experience was.
You know, Marcia, the situation, I say, you know, I think this is going to be a great program when people understand how it works. The situation is that the Hispanic community obviously gets nervous anytime there's any kind of change. So again, the education part, as Janine was talking about, is how we're going to reach them, or how we can better get them to understand that it's going to be very important when it gets to
Yes. Well, there's also I don't know whether it's going to be a problem or not. I think a larger proportion of the Hispanic community are renters and are living in multifamily situations where they may not have a choice. And I don't know whether that's going to mean that it lessens the impact or whether it means people are going to get mad. And that's something we'll have to message around too, because the benefits should filter through even to people who don't pay their electric bill directly. You know, the fact that we have this system and are using it for its purpose of making sure that we don't use too much energy when there's not as much energy available, or when we get charged by our generator for demanding too much. You know, if we can reduce those charges, then everybody's rates go down, or at least fail to go up.
Okay. And I don't know how many, you know, I don't know how long of a presentation would be needed to educate some of the Hispanic community. But I was just thinking the Latino Coalition, the Boulder County Coalition, would be an excellent resource to come in and speak to the group and tell them what's going on, because most of them work with a lot of the Hispanic community. That's something that would be considered in the future as we progress into these meters.
That's a really good idea, and I will volunteer whether I'm on council or not at that point to work with somebody as a technical consultant on such a presentation.
Well, that'd be great. If you know of anybody that might be interested in doing that, I can sure talk to Pete Sellis and get them on the agenda. I just have an idea approximately how much time they would need.
Yeah, what we should do is think about what the milestones in rolling out the messaging should be. You know, it's not going to affect anybody at all this year, except to the extent that it already is in that they've seen a small change in their electric bill.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, now again, there are some activists that are watching what the city does really carefully. And in that part, I would say that you and your other people who are, you know, community advocates need to raise a red flag. If somebody is, you know, if there is anxiety in advance, then we'll do some advanced messaging. And I'll also talk to Carmen and the people at the utility and see whether, because, you know, there was no attempt to make last night's presentation bilingual in any way.
Oh, no.
You know, and it was slightly technical. It wasn't, you know, they didn't go very deep. But there has been to date no particular effort to message around this to the Hispanic community at all.
So is there
Thank you, Marcia.
movement for water?
Not at the present time, although one of the requirements for the system is that they could later allow us to migrate our other meters into their same network. Okay. And do it all at once. But there's no plan to switch out our meters. A few years ago, and it was before I was on council, so I don't know when it was, we changed our water metering system from needing a meter reader to being what's called an AMR, which means that somebody drives by in a utility truck, right, and a radio broadcasts just as far as the truck. And so that's what our water meters are like now. And those water meters aren't very old, so we don't particularly want to replace them now. Okay. But when those water meters age out, then we'd want to put them on this all-on-one system. But you already don't have somebody's boots on your property for the water.
Thanks, Marcia. We backtrack to the supervisory report.
Thank you. So just a couple of things. I just want to do a shout out to Janine. She has helped with 3 different locations for our vaccine clinics. And so the Hearthstone Village Place and at Fall River. And we were able to accommodate folks from 6 different Longmont Housing Authority senior properties at those 3 sites. And she started out, she was monitoring the post-shot 15-minute, and then at Fall River, she actually started filling syringes. So it was great to have her be a part of that. So appreciate that. Art, I have given your name out. There is a small group working on some outreach, specific vaccine clinics and outreach to our Latino and Spanish speaking communities, and they're kind of looking at folks. So Carmen, I did share your name with Carmen as somebody who might be willing to help out with that. Right now, the Boulder County Public Health with some local folks, and I'm a part of that group. As we get, I think we're up to 82% of 70 plus people vaccinated in the county. We still have some folks that we need to target, and Mountain View Plaza and Longs Peak residents, which are in Northeast Longmont, their vaccine clinic is this Friday, their first one. And so we're still targeting some of that population, 65 plus now, but we also have turned our attention to homebound people and to residents of mobile home parks. And so that's kind of where the energy is going to shift. Longmont Meals on Wheels has been super great about including information in the home delivered meals. And I said earlier, it's about 500 people a day. So hopefully those folks who are really unable to get to a vaccination site and really are homebound, we hope to get them on the radar. And then certainly our mobile home parks, which have a high percentage of older adults, but also a fair number of Latino community members in our mobile home parks. So that's kind of what I know about vaccines and Longmont housing and older adults. I will tell you, I said this before, that VIA has been great. I had a couple people on that I needed to get to a vaccine clinic on a Tuesday, and I called VIA Monday afternoon, and they were able to make that happen for those folks. So they've been pretty darn great about responding. So I'm happy to try to answer any questions about vaccinations, but that's kind of where my energy has been. We will not be a site. The county has really looked to the mass vaccination site at the fairgrounds, and we continue to give out information and send out information regularly. The governor put out this website. It was started by a Longmont, not a Longmont, but a Colorado IT professional called vaccinespotter.org. And I think we blew up the system because when we tried to get there yesterday, we had a lot of trouble. But it's a great vaccine spotter. Is a great website to try and get. It was working really well, and hopefully it gets back on track. For the Go for Summer, if you have a particular safety article or a topic that you would like me to emphasize for some education, please shoot me that via email or call me. The staff have talked a little bit about starting to do some immune system building kinds of information as we go. Folks getting their vaccines, we don't want to stop doing the other things that help us strengthen our immune systems for other things. So that was one topic that has come up, and happy to hear others. Longmont Housing Authority, senior properties, some of the wait lists are going to open up just on Friday. Amy and Veronica and Melissa keep a list of well over 200 names of people who have indicated an interest in affordable housing. And so they have been reaching out to those folks via email or phone calls, getting them the sign up paperwork, or directing them online, whichever works best for them. And so doing really great work to try and get people signed up for a wait list for affordable housing, if that is something they need. Thank you, Sheila. I know you attended the orientation with our city clerk and others Monday night. Not sure if anybody else was able to make that. Oh, great. Julie was there. Super.
Yeah, I wasn't there, but I requested, I think it was from the other Michelle, to see, I think they recorded it. So I was going to watch the recording because I feel like it's something that would be important for me to watch.
Great. So. It was a great, I thought they covered it well, but Sheila, I don't know if you want to add anything.
I thought they did a good job. Yeah. Covered everything and didn't get too bogged down in detail where it wasn't necessary to do so. And the handout, which is really the book,
yeah,
was there as a reference, and no, well done all around.
Good. We haven't done an orientation to this board in a while, and so certainly want to open that up to anybody who just wants to set aside some extra time, maybe at 9:30 in the next meeting, just to ask questions about the city, the senior center, senior services division. Happy to open that up. And set that up if folks would like that. So Julie, I see you nodding your head. Do you want to, we could set up a time. Anybody else interested in that? Sheila?
Yeah,
okay.
I think I would be.
Janine? Okay. So I think if that works for folks, I'll get with Robin and we'll try and set that up for 9:30. It won't be an official part of this meeting. It will just be a chance to do some orientation and question and answer. That'd be great. The last thing I have is interesting as we talk about reframing aging and ageism. There is a bill before the state of Colorado, House Bill 21-1139, that is going to open up for older drivers the opportunity to, it's recommending lifting restrictions for older drivers so you can renew your driver's license and renew your ID cards online, electronically. It also, the highlights include right now, the current renewal of a driver's license by mail is every other renewal period, and the bill will eliminate that restriction and allows renewal by mail as long as the photo of the person on file meets the federal law requirements, which I do not know what that is. So under current law, a person under 66 has to have an eye examination within the preceding 3 years, and a person over 66, some of you may know this, has to obtain a signed statement from an optometrist or ophthalmologist saying you've had an eye exam in the last 6 months. So both of these requirements, the bill changes the threshold from 66 to 80. So changes that. The bill eliminates it eliminates the upper age limit and allows drivers who are 66 and older to renew their driver's license electronically. The bill eliminates the restriction about the 2 consecutive renewal periods. And then I already mentioned the eye restriction changing. And it also applies to people over 65 in their renewal of their ID card. So if this is something you might support as an individual, you can certainly follow up House Bill 21-1139. If this is something as a board you would like to recommend to council to support, you can do that as well. But you can't support this as a board without council's approval. Did I say that right, Marcia?
I think I need you to say it again.
So you can, as individuals, you can support or not this bill, but as a board, you cannot do it as a board without making a recommendation to council. You would have to say to council, we like this or we don't like this. But interesting that they've raised the eye requirements to 80, but the other restrictions for 65 or 66 and older, they've eliminated. So just you might want to research it. I have to reply back to Sandy Cedar. She is the City of Longmont's assistant city manager, and she is our legislative representative. And so that's why I get these, because Sandy shoots them to me. And the timing was good to bring it to you all's attention, especially as we talked about ageism. So any questions about this bill?
Well, I was about to ask you whether you got Sandy's emails or not, Michelle.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you do.
Yeah.
There are a lot this year.
Yeah, this is the only one I've gotten that Sandy pulled out specific to aging thus far. So, yeah, McCluskey and Rankin are the two supporters for the bill. So,
yeah. So this is, and I'm glad you talked about it because I get all of them because I'm a glutton for punishment. I don't need to. Sorry, Michelle. Hope that didn't hit any important papers.
So can we have like a show of hands that who would be in favor of this as a board? I would. Looks like unanimous support.
So you would need to make a motion, Susan, or someone that just said that you would recommend to me through the city channels and to council to either support or not this particular bill. So however, you would be giving direction to me as well as for me to pass on to Sandy to give to council.
May I make a remark before you vote? I would actually, well, there are two ways to look at this. One way is that it protects older adults by not forcing them to do things that may be difficult for them. The other way of looking at it is that keeping the existing rules in place protects older adults by making sure that they don't drive unless they are 15. And so, you know, if I were a voting member of this board, I would be soul searching right now because I do not know the correct answer.
And we certainly have had situations in Longmont where older drivers have driven up on sidewalks, have had vision or reflex issues and have not been the safest drivers. I recently heard that there are more accidents caused by older drivers than teenage boys. So it's to Marcia's point, it is a soul search for sure, especially around the eye exam, I think in particular. Prudence.
On the other hand, because Medicare will pay for the eye exam,
right?
However, they will not pay for your glasses. And I'm not sure of the Medicaid rules. They probably get eye exams and glasses. You know, it's also a barrier for folks who can't afford a pair of glasses. The other thing is that the public transportation system really does not support older adult needs. And so their need may be to drive, even though that may not be safe for the rest of us.
Janine?
One other important thing is the eye exam within 6 months. Eye exams actually, current recommendations are yearly, not every 6 months. And Medicare, unfortunately, does not cover them automatically unless somebody has a medical diagnosis like cataracts. And those exams can cost anywhere from $40 to $60. So I think that it's not that I object to, you know, people having to go in every couple of years to get their license renewed, but the assumption that because you're older, your eyes are going to deteriorate faster than eyes normally deteriorate is not an accurate assumption. And the 6 months for me is a big issue.
Mm-hmm.
Ageism.
Well, I think there's no doubt there is there is a record of driving issues. I myself have called the police on a couple people as they've left the senior center parking lot and said, please follow this car. I do not believe they should be driving. It is not easy, actually, to take a driver's license away. A doctor can do it, and very few doctors will do it because they don't want to be the bad guy. And then law enforcement. We had a person who failed their driving test 4 times, had several minor accidents, and the DMV in Longmont would not renew this person's driver's license, and they finally went to Boulder DMV and got it renewed after failing 4 times in numerous accidents. So folks are very reluctant to stop driving when they should stop driving. And I think that's what the original bill was really designed to put a little bit more teeth into it. It's a dilemma. I so appreciate Marcia saying it's a soul searcher, because it's a challenge. And there may be elements of this bill that are good, and there may be elements of the suggested changes, to Janine's point, that are important to address. Yeah, Marcia.
I would say, first of all, that there are other things that we can do besides recommending to support or oppose, because Sandy lobbies.
Right.
And the Colorado Municipal League also lobbies. And any of us as individuals can lobby. And it's very easy to testify this year at the legislature, at the committees, because it's all remote. So it's just another Zoom. So the choice could be that we try to get the sponsors to, or get someone to introduce amendments. We could actually ask our local representatives to introduce amendments. And I would be very happy. I have relationships with all 3 of our local representatives and would be totally happy to push them into sponsoring an amendment, or at least, let them pass on your recommendations to them. So, boy, I hate to start a brouhaha when we were
I think this is what it's all about, right? It's about the conversation and the discourse. So I think it's great. I think it's probably enough that you all you are informed, and you have a chance to advocate however you so choose, which is what I said earlier. If you feel there is a specific thing you want to take a position as a board, you have that opportunity as well. And if not, that's fine too. It's been a good conversation, and that's also a good thing.
Well, then at the very least, can we share the minutes that pertain to this with the person that sent you the email?
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying don't take a vote,
Right.
I don't have that role on this board. I just wanted the discussion to happen.
Right.
And Michelle, before I shut up, and then because I am shutting up, but can we please put in the report to council, if you weren't already going to do it, can we please put that our public transportation does not yet meet the needs of the senior community? Right? I hope those thumbs down don't say that, but please say that. Because it doesn't, we made improvements, we got just-in-time scheduling for VIA and all of that, but it's not good enough yet, not by a long shot.
Absolutely.
And that's it for my report.
Okay, so we're to the Area Agency on Aging, where probably Sarah was the last one in attendance, or Janine, did you go too?
My place on the board starts the 1st of March, and my first meeting will be on Friday.
Okay. Anything to add, Sarah?
Not in the way of a report, but I wanted to offer to Janine, I continue to be on the AAC as a member at large. And so I will be attending as many of the meetings as I can this year. And if you would like to discuss the council or how it operates, or you have any questions, or if at any time you're not able to attend a meeting and would like me to be prepared to report to this board, please let me know. I'd be happy to do that.
I will definitely do that.
Okay. So the Friends, I'm up. I'm jealous of them because apparently they have filled all their vacant board positions. We still have a couple left to fill. They also have redone their board manual so that newcomers have complemented what they were handed. It's reduced in size and easy to understand as to what and how the Friends are operating. And then the other thing that was interesting to me is Amy made a little video because the Longmont Community Foundation awards funds and there was a housing grant open. So she did a little presentation to say what the Longmont Senior Center does in conjunction with the Friends. And that was pretty interesting. I don't know when that will be awarded, but it's another chance for a little bit more funding. She did a great job. So those are the main things. I think we have a great crew on the Friends doing the work of that organization.
Susan, did you say you did fill all the positions? Or there's
on the Friends?
You still have some positions open?
We have positions open here on the Senior Advisory Board. So if you know of anybody.
Yeah, I know about Senior Advisory Board, but I'm talking about the Friends Board.
Art, we had one position. It was a one-year position, and one of the Friends Board members recommended Debbie Knoll, and she accepted. So we have now filled, just in the last couple of weeks, we filled all the positions on the Friends Board.
And just out of curiosity, are there any people of color on that board?
Sunita Garcia is on that board, and she formerly worked at the Our Center. She's a member of that board.
Good. Thank you. Appreciate that.
And moving on to TRG, Julie, your name got assigned to that.
So Michelle Kriegut is still our representative to that board until the end of this month.
Okay.
And then Julie, I have sent your name to Kathy Fedler. She is the staff person who is the liaison to that group, and she'll follow up with you directly.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything as of yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I did not get any notes from Michelle since the last meeting.
Okay. Moving on to Art in the Boulder County Latino Coalition.
One of the things that was mentioned at our, let's see, am I on? Okay, I am on. One of the things that was mentioned at the last meeting, which was really a great thing, is that they named a building over there in Boulder, the Al and Vera Ramirez Hall building. I can't remember what it was, but Al Ramirez was actually a member of the, he was a professor, and I think was even involved in administration at CU. And his wife had a program that they called Cena de Domingos. I think it was Meals on Sundays. And they would invite some of the Hispanic students to go up there and have dinner and kind of do some encouragement and things like that. And there was a lot of debate on it. And it was so good to hear that they did name building there after these folks for all the hard work that they did. One of the other things I brought up, Michelle, not only with them, but with the others, is that term of Latino, Latina type of thing. And we all feel that the term Latino takes care of everything. There really is no need to go to Latino, Latina, because then we might have to add additional things. So that everybody felt comfortable with that. And I wanted to share that with you. And I can't remember if I talked about the Salute Clinic last month about getting that 90-year-old gentleman in there. But I'll tell you, that was one place, and it makes sense. I mean, that's where many of them live or feel comfortable. But the number of Hispanics that were getting their vaccines on that day was unbelievable. It was great. There was a large percentage.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I just wanted to say is that the people on, are just saying that is one of the, excuse me, that's one of the places that people are really getting a lot of response from. They're calling the Salute Clinic, and they're getting calls within just a few days to go in there to get that taken care of. And the other thing is that sometimes even when they do that, when they call in there, they're actually calling them and inviting them to go to Frederick and other places in order to meet the needs of some of the Hispanic community. So I just want to say thank you to the Salute Clinic on that. The other thing that I just wanted to talk about or mention, and this has nothing to do with the Latino board, but I just wanted to commend the Times Call on their article on Sunday. They just did an outstanding job of talking about resources for partners within Boulder County. And there was a big, there was a lot about El Comité. But anyway, if anybody didn't get it, if there's anyone that did not get a chance to see that, I would encourage you to try to get a hold of that article, because it really has a lot to do with the concern of the Hispanic community in Boulder County. And I think other than that, I think that's all I had.
Thank you, Art. Longmont Economic Development Partnership, Janine.
Yes, I have nothing to report. I have notified them, this is the second time, that I am the representative and would appreciate being notified as far as their quarterly meetings, because I have not received notification for them about a Zoom meeting since last spring. So I'm not sure. I know they've gone through some restructuring and people, but just to let you know that I'm continuing to remind them that I'm out here and interested in attending meetings. Sustainability, however, I'll just go on to that. I think I sent all of you the handout that we had at the meeting. Many of the members that attended are new, so there was a lot of review really about what sustainability is all about, their vision, their plan in terms of water, air, waste, transportation, and energy. Their focus right now is increasing neighborhood participation. They're also having increased numbers of recognized sustainable businesses. I think currently in the city of Longmont, they're up to 41. And the ongoing goal is currently 50% renewable energy and 100% by 2013. They are also focusing on reducing trash to less than 2 pounds a week. Boy, that's going to be tough in my family, but anyway, that's the goal. They have a climate action task force that's ongoing and are working on carbon-free transportation and plans for the roadmap around that were initially formed in 2012 are currently being revamped and updated. So they want to decrease emissions, increase electrical cars, improve air quality, and are looking at decreasing single occupancy housing, which I find very interesting. To report that the Longmont received $110,000 from the sustainability tax that they are currently utilizing. All people are invited to attend their quarterly meetings and the dates so that we can just put them in the back of, write them down for anyone that's interested, will be the 18th of March, and it's a Zoom at 6:30 in the evening. Other meetings will be May 12th, August 11th, and November the 10th. And that's sustainability.
Thank you, Janine. Any other questions or concerns?
I'd just like to add something to Janine's piece on sustainability, and Sheila and Francie Jaffe, who works on with our sustainability staff team, did the piece for the advisory boards and commissions orientation on inclusion and equity, and she did a great job. Some really good handouts. I thought that I might try to grab those handouts and share them. They were part of a 32-page packet, maybe. I can't remember. But anyways, to, some of this board's concerns around equity and inclusion, there were some good handouts, I felt like, and it was a good piece for the orientation. Sheila, I don't know, you don't have to add anything, but you might want to.
Yeah, that was a good part of the presentation, and she did a good job on that, even though it wasn't her primary role.
Hey, that's what I thought. Yeah, I thought she did good. So if you're interested, I'd be happy to make that packet available to you electronically, and those pieces are at the end of the packet, as I recall. Yeah.
Janine, what is the November date? I wasn't clear.
Did you get that, Prudence?
I think it's November 10th.
Okay. Janine, your microphone goes to Froggy at the end of our meeting.
It's tired.
Anything else? Do I hear a motion then to close the meeting?
Looks like Art's going to move.
And Prudence is seconding.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Nicole. Welcome aboard,
Nicole.
Robin.
You guys are welcome. Take care.
You too.
Thanks, Nicole. Thank you. Best to you.
Bye.
Thank you, Nicole.